guys, it's Emma and I'm back today for you with another video and we're ranting, okay? Just right on into it. I'm gonna be ranting to y'all today about Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. This is a Greek mythology retelling about the Ariadne myth. Ariadne is the princess of Crete. She's the daughter of King Minos. And, you know, she lives as a princess, and yet every day beneath her feet lives her brother, the Minotaur, in the maze, right? And when Theseus from Athens comes to defeat the Minotaur and completely undermine King Minos, she sees this as an opportunity to rebel and leave the island, and so she helps him. It's all about her and Theseus and what happens afterwards, and what happens to the sister that she leaves behind, Phaedra. All right, there are a lot of trigger warnings for this book, so we got a trigger warning for rape, sexual assault, suicide, blood, gore, murder, death of a loved one, child death, alcohol use, bestiality, and animal death / abuse. Listen, I'm going to be completely frank here. I despise this book.
I'm talking hate.
This video is going to be a spoilery rant review about why I despise Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I do not mean any hate towards the author, fans of this book, or fans of this author. If you like this book, that's amazing. Okay, that is amazing. I simply do not. I did not have a good time with this book. Honestly, I had a horrific time reading this book. I will never be able to get the time that I spent reading this book back. So before we actually start, I would really, really appreciate it if you guys would look down in the description box for all the links there that I have for you guys pertaining to stuff going on in the world right now. And those links will be down there for you guys to interact with and to share. And then down in the comment section, let me know whether or not you guys like this book, whether you agree or disagree with anything that I have to say about this book. So with that being said, let's just get right on into it, okay? The first and only pro that I have is the quotes, okay? The quotes are the best part about this book. There are some very, very nice, empowering quotes. This is gonna be a very short section because even though this is my favorite thing about the book, it was a very, very, very small part of it. Con number one, and I want everybody to listen to me very, very closely, okay? This book is not feminist, okay? I need everybody to understand that right now. This book is not feminist in the slightest, okay? I was honestly floored by how many times this book tried to be feminist and ended up just being more and more misogynistic. Just because you have a female main character does not automatically mean that your book is feminist. That's not how that works. Because 9 times out of 10, that female character headlining your book is going to be more misogynistic than any man I will ever meet in my life. All right, which I feel is not even specific to just Ariadne, but is relevant to almost any book that is being made now. Now listen, the common theme in this book is that women in Greek mythology are collateral damage for the actions of men and male gods, all right? Gods in general, but mostly male gods. We see this mostly with Pasiphae, who is Phaedra's and Ariadne's mother, the mother of the Minotaur, the queen of Crete, right? Essentially, Pasiphae is Minos' wife. And what happens is Minos wanted to show his appreciation to the gods and is like, give me the best bull to sacrifice to you. And so Poseidon was like, all right, well, here, how's this 10 out of 10 bull? And Minos is like, yeah, no, this is actually a really nice looking piece of meat. I'm actually gonna try and keep it for myself and try and trick the gods. Because of course. And so he tries to trick the gods by essentially slaughtering a 3 out of 10 bull. Poseidon obviously finds out, but he doesn't punish Minos. Poseidon punishes Pasiphae instead. All right, and what he does is, quote, he makes her mad with lust. And so she has Daedalus, the inventor, all right, craft her a hollow cow, which she goes inside of. And the bull mounts the cow and subsequently mounts Pasiphae. And so Pasiphae is impregnated by the bull, therefore giving birth to the Minotaur. Throughout the beginning of the book, Ariadne and Phaedra continuously defend their mother against all of the slander and the sneers and the embarrassment, all right, saying that it's Poseidon's fault, that Pasiphae was a victim okay, that Poseidon was the one at fault. It was Minos the one that was supposed to be punished. It was because of Minos that Pasiphae was punished by association, all right? Therefore, going to the theme of women always being collateral in Greek mythology, right? For some context, basically, Ariadne goes with Theseus. Theseus leaves her on the island and goes back to Athens. Ariadne is presumed dead by everybody, including Phaedra, who is sent to Athens a few years later to go and marry the new king of Athens, Theseus, whom, like I said, she marries, and they both become king and queen, and she gives birth to his children. Ariadne, meanwhile, is not in fact dead. The island that she has been left on is actually property of Dionysus, and she and Dionysus fall in love, get married, and have kids. And so by word of mouth, Phaedra finds out that Ariadne, her older sister, is in fact alive, and so they both reunite on this island. Meanwhile, Theseus has had a child with the Amazonian queen Hippolyta, and this son is Hippolytus. He has come back to Athens and essentially is essentially living with them, right? That's the context. So, remember how I said that for the first 2/3 of the book, even when they aren't children anymore, Phaedra and Ariadne continuously defend Pasiphae. Tell me why, when Ariadne and Phaedra meet back up and they are arguing about Phaedra going after her stepson romantically, all right, all of a sudden, they are talking about Pasiphae's situation as if it's Pasiphae's fault. Ariadne is like, dude, why are you going after your stepson? That's wild. Doesn't he kind of see you as a mom? And Phaedra is like, well, please, it's not the worst thing that our family has ever gotten involved with, right? Like, what about our mother who, quote, at 77%, Phaedra says, quote, our own mother seduced a wild bull. And then Ariadne says something along the lines of how we were all made grotesque by what she did. Why are we talking about it like it's Pasiphae's fault? Pause. First of all, where did this blaming thing come from, huh? Because like I said, for the first 2/3 of this novel, both Phaedra and Ariadne continuously defend their mother, all right? Rightfully so. So why did we suddenly just shift to being like, oh yeah, no, our mother was in fact an embarrassment. It was in fact our mother's fault. Where did this come from? All right. Second of all, it's not Pasiphae's fault. Poseidon literally took over her mind, which blows my mind. Okay, because how is Poseidon just magically left out of the blame game, especially when that's the whole point of the book? All right, women being collateral damage for the actions of men and gods. All right, what? She's all of a sudden not collateral? Are we just not shoveling into that theme anymore? What was the point of that then? And yet, Hera is never blameless. She's always seen as evil, even though she has such a minuscule part in this book. I just think it's funny, you know? Especially considering that no Greek myth retelling can breathe without villainizing Hera. You know what I mean? And yet, at the same time, whenever Zeus is brought up, never once is the word rape ever associated with him. Only ever the very vague word of defile. Oh yeah, no, Zeus may have defiled this woman. No, Zeus defiled that woman. But Hera, watch out. Hera's gonna come and get ya. Are you fucking serious? I'm not gonna sit here and say that Hera is woman of the year, all right, but what I'm damn sure not gonna do is sit here and say that Zeus is completely blameless in anything that dude does. The entire treatment of Pasiphae's situation just rubbed me the wrong way, especially because it was from her daughters, all right? That was so insidious to me. It's just insidious morally, and also it doesn't make sense for the characters, because what caused the shift, baby doll? Huh? They were up to bat for their mom for the entire point up into this book, which was maybe, 77%? We're at the 77% mark, and all of a sudden they want to be like, victim blame. And even before the 77% mark, the Medusa myth is obviously quoted. And it is done so by Ariadne being told by one of her nursemaids, the story of Medusa when she was a child. And this is after the nursemaid has thoroughly explained to the daughters what exactly happened to Pasiphae. And so obviously you have the comparison of what happened with Pasiphae and then what happened with Medusa. And Ariadne, obviously comprehends the Medusa myth. Ariadne, monologues something along the lines of, I would never be like Pasiphae. I would never shrink into myself like Pasiphae. I would be like Medusa and, like go after person A, person B, person C, which personally rubbed me the wrong way. It felt like this book was making such a disgusting emphasis on the comparison of being a victim versus being a survivor of trauma. And it's just, that comparison shouldn't even be a thing because people deal with their own trauma how they deal with their own trauma. It's their own fucking trauma, all right? Leave them alone. That rubbed me the wrong way. That was disgusting to me. All right, con number 2, personally for me, is the writing. Like I said, the quotes are the best parts about it, but even that, this writing style is overly wordy at most. For example, when Ariadne references Medea, all right, Medea and Ariadne are cousins on Pasiphae's side. All right, when referencing her cousin, she literally, like, Ariadne says something along the lines of, yeah, no, her father is my uncle. And her yada yada is my yada yada. Girl, if you don't call her your damn cousin and just move on, that's a lot of words to say somebody is related to you on your mother's side. It's really not that difficult. The main problem that I have with the writing, however, is the language that it uses, which almost sexualizes the abuse and harassment and trauma that women in Greek mythology sustain from men and gods in Greek mythology, which again, completely just counteracts the whole theme of the book. For example, the word seduce, all right, is constantly used with Pasiphae, all right? Pasiphae seduced a wild bull. Pasiphae conceived the Minotaur after her seduction of the bull. Seduce, really? That's the word we want to use? Unless this is from like the lens of like, ancient Greek times, which, okay, but then you have all of these other female characters literally on Pasiphae's side being like, yeah, no, she's a victim. So why would the people who see her as a victim be saying that she seduced a bull? That, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And maybe I'm being extreme here, okay? But personally, the usage of the word seduce reminds me of a girl under the influence of a date rape drug and her assaulter being like, yeah, no, she just came on to me. She seduced me. Fuck off. All right, that's what that reminds me of. And then also the word tryst. The word tryst is used to describe whenever Zeus cheats on Hera with a mortal woman, 9 times out of 10, a mortal woman that he likely raped. I remember I looked it up, and the word tryst means, and this is what the word tryst means. It's a meeting between two lovers, not a meeting between an abuser and a victim. Lastly, this is very nitpicky, but I don't care. The usage of the phrase, I released a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. Girl, give up the ghost. Give up the ghost. All right, this phrase and any variation of this phrase has authors by the neck, I fear. Con number 3 is just that this book is a hodgepodge of Greek myths. The first, like, maybe third of this book is the Minotaur myth. The Minotaur is born, Daedalus makes the maze, they put the Minotaur in the maze the Daedalus built, Theseus comes, Ariadne sees Theseus, develops feelings for him in 3 hours, and that's like all the build up to their partnership, and they essentially cement that they are going to be partners after, like I said, 3 hours of literally just knowing one another and passing each other in the hallways. Her helping Theseus kill the Minotaur, which literally happens in 3 pages and we don't even get to see it, and then Theseus dropping her off on Naxos, and then that's it. So the entirety of the Minotaur plot is actually so rushed, and I remember I'm at like maybe 30% of the book and I'm thinking to myself, as Ariadne is watching Theseus sail off towards Athens or whatever, without her, I'm thinking to myself, so what the hell is the rest of this book even going to be? The rest of this book, the majority of it, is made up of other myths. And not even women's myths. I'm not gonna lie, there were so many myths crammed into this book that I honestly forgot what myth I was supposed to even have been starting out with. Right, and the tangents. These myths would go on for so long, and I'm kind of sitting here, I'm like, oh wow, all right, so am I not just reading a collection of different Greek myths? No. Like when Hippolytus was introduced and we went on, like I said, a tangent of who this guy is, his family's history, and I'm like, dude, how long is this one gonna last? You know what I mean? Like, I get you wanting to put in a lot of different Greek myths because a lot of Greek myths overlap or happen around the same time, right? So why would you literally just ramble on and on and on and on and on? Dude, come up with a synopsis. Come up with a summary, please. All right? Like, it's kind of ridiculous. The lengths of these myths, these tangents, distract from the overall story. Look, like, even the sky is fearful of this book, all right? The sun hid behind the clouds. Con number 4 is the absolutely duller than life itself characters, all right? Each one of these characters was unremarkable in each and every way. Ariadne, first off, the character whose whole idea of the story is pitched around being a feminist retelling or a Greek myth retelling with a feminist lens or a feminist perspective, right? All good. Except Ariadne is like assertive over her life, maybe up until she meets Theseus. And then she is literally clay for every other character to mold, not even just men. You know what I mean? Like she is remarkably passive and unremarkable, to say the least, all right? Which is disappointing because, like considering just how much potential there was for Ariadne to be rebellious. You know what I mean? And speaking of being rebellious, the only reason why she rebels against her tyrannical dad and saves Theseus is because he's hot and has green eyes. That's it. She sees him being loaded off of a slave ship, okay? She sees him and is like, ooh, I hear something purring. Later that night, the Athenian prisoners are sat, you know, essentially as like a little spectacle while everybody else in the courtroom dines. Everybody else is eating around them, right? But not Ariadne. Ariadne, she is busy just ogling Theseus, right? And then Theseus and her make eye contact, and that's the pivotal moment. That's the pivotal moment in which she decides right then and there, her rebellious move against her tyrannical dad, the man that has terrorized her and her siblings all of her life. She decides right then and there that her dad needs to be stopped. Her dad needs to stop killing these innocent Athenian children. She decides right then and there because this particular prisoner is hot. She decides that unlike the hundreds of other Athenian children that have died by the Minotaur's hands, this one in particular makes her horny. So that's why she decides to rebel. That's what makes her decide to take control of her own life. Because this prisoner has green eyes and made eye contact with her once over some dry-ass roast beef. Phaedra. Okay, Phaedra, in my opinion, is the most disappointing out of all of them, okay, because she was so promising at the very beginning. When we got her first POV, when everybody realized that Theseus was gone and the Minotaur was dead and Ariadne must have gone with them, that's when we get Phaedra's POV, and I remember distinctly saying, ooh, Phaedra POV. A girl can dream. My main thing with Phaedra is the age-old complaint that female characters can never have flaws. They cannot be flawed. They must, I repeat, they must be squeaky clean. They must be saints. They must be pure. They must be sweet little angels that can never do wrong. Because then we like them by default. All right? Which is so lazy. In my opinion, all right, no woman, no person, okay, is perfect. Every person has a flaw. You and me, we both have flaws. And like Phaedra in the myth, when she goes after her stepson romantically, all right, and he rejects her, she accuses him of rape. And that's how Theseus kills him, all right? In the book, she confesses to Hippolytus. Hippolytus is like, oh girl, no, and walks away. She starts kind of freaking out a little bit, right? Because she's thinking to herself, oh no, what if he tells Theseus? Then I'll be ruined. I'll be cast out. Who'll care for my children then? Oh my gosh, no. What happens if Hippolytus tells anybody else? And then I'll be ostracized, and it'll be just like, you know, how I was walking around when I was a kid and all the gossip and everybody talking about me and sneering at me and laughing behind my back. So she essentially like starts to write him a note, and she ends up just writing Hippolytus, and that's when she hears the boat horn that Theseus has come home, and then she's resigned, and then she goes and kills herself, right? Leaving the half-finished note with just Hippolytus's name on it, and Theseus finds it, finds her dead body, immediately puts the two and two together, and he's like, no, Hippolytus must have defiled her, because apparently we don't use the word rape here. And that's how Hippolytus dies. The unfinished note, unintentionally leading to Hippolytus's death, completely devoids her character of any deep personality, all right? Be it flaws or anything of the sort. Chalking everything up to it just being an accident. She didn't mean to do anything wrong. It completely cheapens not only Phaedra's character, but the story. All right, because it kind of just, at least in my opinion, solidifies that, oh yeah, no, women don't do anything. They have shit happen to them. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not here cheering for people that falsely accuse others of rape. But I'm here saying this simply as a standpoint of this is a lame ass, lazy ass way to do a character. You have completely stripped them, no matter their gender, of any remarkability. All right, you can have flawed female characters. All right, it's kind of insulting to your audience when you just make this squeaky clean character to be liked by default throughout the whole book. While Theseus is gone on his adventures, Phaedra's the one running Athens. All right, she's like actually stepping up and, you know, being a woman in power, right? And she's ruling Athens. She's more cutthroat. She's stricter about it. So the myth version actually would have fit her character better. Her character completely contradicts itself, apart from being cheap, all right? Because this entire time, right, Phaedra has told us time and time again, all right, she hates gossip. She hated how her childhood was, walking around the halls, everybody talking about her family, everybody talking about her mother, being talked about behind her back. She hated it, right? Understandable, all right? And yet she's so gung-ho about going after her stepson romantically. And when Ariadne brings this up, she's like, you do realize that this is gonna be a big-ass scandal, right? This could rival the shit that we went through as kids, right? And Phaedra is like, oh, that could never happen. Oh, it being a scandal? That could never happen. Girl, what? What? Where did the ire for gossip go? Where did it go? As soon as she fell in love with a man, she changed the damn tune. Dionysus and the Dionysian cult were just underwhelming. All right, Dionysus I was excited about because I have not read any Greek myth retellings about him. His Dionysian cult is infamous, all right? So I was expecting like some blood-curdling shit, you know? Which I guess we got. Like maybe the last 5% of the book, but it was rushed. All right, which in my opinion is such a disservice, especially to the only male character that was even somewhat interesting, because every other male character that we meet, some of them being characters and myths that we get tangents upon tangents about, all right, are either passive, neutral, and what I call neutral to mean just 2D and flat, or overly chauvinistic and piggish. There's no in between those three. I gave Ariadne 1 star. Even if this book is not professionally marketed as feminist, the fact that this is going through the grapevine and just, you know, the general, I would say bookish community as a piece of feminist literature makes me laugh and vomit at the same time. You ever done that? All right, shit comes out of your nose. All right, that's not cute. I don't think it's feminist because some of the language in here sexualizes the harassment and abuse that women in Greek mythology were subjected to. I don't think it's feminist because you strip all of your female characters of damn near any agency. You don't let them be flawed. And quite frankly, I'm getting increasingly wary of the rest of the books that I have on my TBR by this author, all right? Because if they are anything like Ariadne, if Electra, Atalanta, and Hera are anything like Ariadne, wish me the best of luck. So you guys, that was my spoilery rant review for Ariadne. I hope that you've enjoyed. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, all right, because right now I'm sitting pretty at 56 minutes of raw footage. This was just unbelievable, okay? So you guys, with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you could find some camaraderie in this video as much as you could. If you were just in a bad mood and you wanted to wallow in it, hi. I hope that this could help, you know, maybe let off some mental steam. I don't know. But anyway, you guys, I hope that you guys will continue to look out for more stuff that I put out on my channel. I hope that you guys are staying safe. And lastly, I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.